Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Now, we know that millions of our fellow Americans have been quitting, and I've done extensive reports on our channel about the Great Resignation. However, have you ever wondered how this will impact you? Well, folks, Mike Rowe on Fox Business said that this will impact every single American. When I say this, I'm referring to 4.5 million Americans quitting their jobs because a record number of American workers quit or changed their jobs in November. So, the Fox Business personality and How America Works narrator Mike Rowe cautioned that every single American will feel the effects from the record number of U.S. workers quitting their jobs. In fact, Rowe reacted to Labor Department data which showed 4.5 million Americans either quit or changed their jobs in November. Rowe said this to Fox Business' Stuart Varney. This is a conversation about our workforce and the imbalanced nature of it and the way that's going to impact every single American who shares my addiction to smooth roads, indoor plumbing, affordable electricity, and so forth. In fact, the job loss report comes nearly 1 month after U.S. job openings. The data hit 11 million for October, nearing a record high. Let's roll the tape and see what Mike Rowe had to say as he reacted to more and more Americans quitting their jobs. And he said, "I've never seen anything like this." Let's roll the tape and watch.
Well, you've always been a glass half full kind of guy, Stuart. I suppose that's one way to look at it, and I think it's probably a fair way to look at it. From my position as a guy who runs a foundation that's focused on debunking stigmas and stereotypes around the skilled trades, I've never seen anything like this. Not a week goes by where my foundation doesn't get a phone call from some association in charge of some industry that's struggling mightily to recruit. Just this month, I've heard from the energy industry, the flooring industry. You just go down the list one after the next. The restaurant industry, the cable and broadband industry, they are all struggling with the same basic problem, and that is how to make a more persuasive case for the opportunities that exist within their industries. And they're all talking to the same group of people who, for whatever reason, have, I think, changed their fundamental relationship with the definition of a good job. So, look, this is not just a conversation between a mismatch of skills, although I think the skills gap is a very real thing. This is a conversation about our workforce and the imbalanced nature of it, and the way that that's going to impact every single American who shares my addiction to smooth roads, indoor plumbing, affordable electricity, and so forth.
So I'm going to quote Rowe here. He said, "I've never seen anything like this. I've heard from the energy industry, the flooring industry, the restaurant industry, the cable and broadband industry. They are all struggling with the same basic problem. And that problem, according to Rowe, is how to make a case for opportunities that exist within blue-collar industries." He said this, "That interestingly is one of the few things that we can control. We need to explain to kids that working with your hands, learning a skill that's in demand can still lead to prosperity." Now, let me know whether you agree or disagree with what Rowe is saying, because folks, as more and more Americans quit or decide to change their jobs, it is going to impact your life. It is going to impact my life. It's going to impact our ability to get things at the grocery store. It's going to impact our ability to actually get the things we need on a day-to-day basis. It's going to impact the price of gas. It's going to impact the price of food, because if the restaurant industry is impacted, if there are less people available in the restaurant industry, well, guess what? Those who are working will demand higher wages, will need to be paid higher wages by employers, which in turn could push up prices. This entire reshuffling of the U.S. workforce could have major long-term repercussions on our future as we know it. In fact, Rowe said the focus should be on educators to change the perception of good jobs and higher education. He said this, "It can't be higher education and everything else is some vocational consolation prize. We need to set the table fairly. We need to do a better job globally of shining a light on skilled labor stories." Now, folks, I'll give you some examples when it comes to movers, when it comes to construction, people in the construction industry. These are just a couple of examples. They don't necessarily need to be qualified, but guess what? They perform an important function. They perform hard physical labor and they need to be compensated for it. And the challenge that's created in this economy is that as more and more people are starting to work remotely, as more and more individuals, as more and more offices start to embrace remote work, the challenge is that those who can do remote work tend to be those who have more qualifications, tend to be those who have at least a high school diploma, in many cases a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or higher. tend to be individuals who are in management, who are basically high up in the organizational structure. They tend to be CEOs and senior people. And while these individuals tend to do fairly well, the rest of us get left behind. And in fact, when I say the rest of us, these are the individuals who quit or change their jobs. Because I can assure you that people who can work remotely, they have had no problem. They're not changing jobs. They're happy in their job. In fact, if anything, they've been offered more money to continue doing what they're doing remotely because they have the ability to work remotely. On the other hand, individuals who earn less, individuals who earn close to minimum wage, who are low income earners, middle income earners, they are the ones who have been quitting their jobs. They are the ones who have been reshuffling their priorities, and they're the ones who are saying, hey, wait a minute, I don't need to accept the same dead-end job. Now, let me know whether you agree or disagree with what Mike Rowe is saying, because fundamentally, this is going to change the structure of the US economy. This is going to lead to a situation where if you go to a restaurant, there aren't enough servers. You go to the grocery store, there may not be enough people at the checkout counter. You try and get somebody to help you move. You try and get someone to help you around the house. You may not be able to find the right person because these individuals are essentially deciding whether they should continue in the same industry or switch to an entirely different industry. And that is why millions of our fellow Americans quit their jobs in September, October, November, and December of last year. And this is going to lead to lasting impacts in the US economy. Let me know what you think of this situation, because at the end of the day, every single thing impacts the US economy. This channel, the Ignition Time channel, is about the country, the economy, as well as our money. And I do believe that as millions of our fellow Americans quit their jobs, it will indeed impact every single American. Our ability to have clean drinking water is dependent on plumbing. Our ability to drive on smooth roads is dependent on construction crews that are constantly re-engineering our roads and constantly making sure that our roads are in tip-top shape. Our ability to get food to our table is entirely dependent on the long chain, the entire chain of hard-working Americans who participate in the food chain. Everyone from those who essentially cut the fish that you buy and pack it up all the way through to the checkout counter at the grocery store when you pay for your groceries. Everything is interconnected in our economy, and I do believe that Americans quitting their jobs will impact our lives as we know it. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Please click the like button. Please click subscribe. Please enable notifications. A ton of effort goes into the creation, the production, and the editing of these videos, and all I ask of you is to please click the like button. If you're not a subscriber yet, please click the subscribe button. My name is Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. This right here is a little bit of information about me. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. I have the fortune, the honor, the privilege of living the American dream, and I was able to overcome the cycle of poverty that you see on your screen right now. One final thing, please follow me on Twitter. This right here is my Twitter feed. You'll be able to follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is ignition_time. That's ignition_time. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.